Never seen such a greedy king. He was at the prince's 18th birthday party, and I saw a jumper on the back of my hand. He found the right moment to slap it down, but I didn't expect the flea to jump to the other hand. This immediately got the sleepy king interested. I don't care about the princess who is sane. He played with the fleas in public with great interest. Which palm does he open to the flea? Jumping algae will jump like a spirit. The king couldn't put it down when he saw this flea. He kept playing until after the party was over. Secretly hide the flea in your hand and bring it back. Prick a drop of blood on your finger to feed the flea. Then put it in the gesture box and raised it in captivity. That's all. The fleas that dilute the king's blood every day. It quickly grows in size at a rate that is visible. The king also made a trailer for the fleas. Put it on a flea and play like a carriage to relieve boredom. I don't know how long it's been. The flea-addicted king spends all day without thinking about it. Only during meals. The princess only sees him and the king always takes the leftover steak, quietly brought back to the feeding this growing flea. This night, imperial physician in the palace by a sharp knock on the door. The imperial doctor rushed to the palace in a hurry, but found that the king was in good condition. I haven't waited for the imperial doctor to react. The king hurriedly dragged him over to take a look, but found the king's room. There is an ugly monster in it. The king can't care about his secret report. Let the imperial doctor quickly diagnose and treat. As a result, the imperial physician had the courage to check the jumper who eats big fish and meat every day. Already suffered from 3 His life was blurred on the spot. After seeing this, the king was heartbroken. The next day, he found his favorite princess, set to hold a competition to recruit relatives for the princess. Wait for this day. The princess who had been waiting for a long time learned that the king finally got the hang of it. As a result, after the day of public recruitment, only to find out that the king made the challenger. I came here to guess an animal skin. Whoever guesses correctly will betroth the princess to whoever. The first challenger is, after a while of groping on the tell the king confidently, that's a sow skin. As a result, he was eliminated on the spot as expected. The princess also breathed a sigh of relief when she saw. Then the second challenger comes out. The princess saw the other party's old and serious appearance. He winked at the king, but the king doesn't seem to be worried that the other party will guess correctly. The old man used the lenses he carried. After a period of observation at a photogenic tells the king very firmly that it is the god of the woods. The princess looked at the king nervously. Fortunately, the king thought for a moment. The answer is no. The princess's tense nerves relaxed. The third challenger is a young man. Handsome prince. The princess fell in love with each other at first sight. I can't stand the commotion in my heart. Quietly asked the king, what animal skin is that? The king can't stand the soft and hard foam of the princess. Finally, he revealed the correct answer to the princess. And after the prince took a close look at the animal skin, not surprisingly gave the wrong answer. This made the princess feel very discouraged and sad. Pretty soon, most of the challengers who came were defeated and returned. Just in the fight, when no one dares to step forward to continue the challenge, suddenly there is a tall figure. Ugly savage. When you step forward to challenge, I was blocked by the guards. The king saw this and said, everyone has the right to participate in the competition. Disregarding the feelings of the princess. Let the savages in. As a result, the savage quickly walked up to just simply show it with your nose a few times. Gave the answer. The free king's face gradually turned ugly. When he turned to look at the princess by his side, the princess can't accept the reality in front of her. Face crying, heartbroken, running upstairs, trying to use jumping off a building to oppose in the end. The king still reprimanded his daughter sharply. As a king, unbelievable word. Isn't it a disgrace in front of the world? How will you govern your own country in the future? The princess saw that the king only cared about his face. They don't care about their own lives. I finally realized that my resistance so I feel. Dead and ashes followed the savages on a long road. They walked through the jungle, walked through the Grand Canyon. After a few days and nights of unimpeded travel, in the help and tow of the savages, climb a cliff that soars into the sky. Finally came to the cave where the savages live. This place is very different from the palace where layers of bones and stinky filth all over the ground. Let the princess turn around and want to jump. Fortunately, the savages are closely watched. Only then did the princess survive countless torments. When the savages go out looking for food, the princess suddenly heard someone singing loudly outside. He hurried out of the cave to take a look. But on the edge of the opposite cliff, a woman was pissed. The princess who saw hope begged the woman to save herself. The other party is just a picking girl. He alone couldn't save the princess. He had to promise to send his son to the rescue. Turned away. The princess fell into despair again. But the next day, when he was drying clothes in the arteries, suddenly I saw a young man come to the rescue. The princess was overjoyed and climbed up. After, the young man carried the princess on his shoulder. Without saying a word, he followed the rope and walked towards the opposite side. After a while, I suddenly felt that something was wrong. Run to the outside of the cave and take a look. Sure enough, I saw the princess being carried away by a man. The savage also climbed up the rope desperately. Use your hands and feet when you are about to catch up. The young man carried the princess to the other side successfully. Without hesitation. Let my brother cut the rope. The savage fell thousands of meters into the sky without danger. Then this family of street performers made a living while driving the carriage to take the princess home. But I didn't expect. The savage who fell off the cliff did not die. Catch up and suddenly jump into their carriage from behind. Kill 3 of them in 3 strokes and 5 divided by 2. The hostess seized this. I had to go with my youngest son. He took the princess to hide not far away. They saw that the savage was about to come. The woman in a hurry asked her son to drink a mouthful. He was caught off guard and jumped out and sprayed it on the savage, trying to burn the savage in front of him directly. As a result, this savage is strong and doesn't have much hair. He put out the fire on his body. Then grab the young man in front of you and strangle him. And seeing the whole family cut down in the hands of savages, no longer have the idea of living alone. Then he also ran out to the princess. By time to escape. When the princess saw this, she had to turn around and run away with no more power to escape. Then he ran into a cave and hid. Not long after, savages with a better sense of smell soon find the smell found the princess hiding in the cave, but the savages are about to force. When I brought the princess back, the princess seemed to have suddenly changed into a different lying in the arms of the savage. Instant let. The angry savage is carried away by love. Subsequently, when the savage was about to carry the princess home, the princess suddenly took out a hand from behind. He stabbed the savage in the neck without hesitation. So the once innocent princess cruelly cut off the head of a savage after bringing it back to the palace. King, who has always felt guilty about the princess, in the end, he still chose to relinquish his throne. From then on, wholeheartedly, the princess sits on the throne. The old woman tried to win the king's favor. Finally, polish your index finger with garlic, and then we put it on a pre-made heirloom recipe. Put your finger directly into the boiling water. After cooking with pain for 5 minutes, wrap it tightly with cloth strips. Fantasizing about the beautiful scene of meeting the king. In an instant, it's time to witness a miracle. But he couldn't wait to take apart the cloth. Not only did I not see the delicate girl in my imagination, I also found that he was just a little old hand. On the contrary, being scalded by boiling water makes the time with the king is approaching. My sister is going to persuade her wife when she sees the truth before it's too late. Suddenly, the king's cry came from outside the door. The old woman panicked and didn't know what to do. Suddenly, I saw my sister's index finger that often sips water. It's like seeing a life-saving straw. Without saying a word, he dragged his sister after sticking my sister's index finger out of the door. But unexpectedly, he won the king's pleasure. The king is like a treasure. Not only do I love my sister's pink finger, I have to take an inch to see my mother-in-law. Other parts of. The old woman dared not refuse the king's request. In a hurry, you can only wipe off the delay strategy. Claiming to be favored by the king, I earnestly begged the king to forgive me for my responsibilities. Get yourself ready before taking the palace. Before the matter parted, the old woman specially told the king, in order to avoid embarrassing situations at that time, the king to destroy the palace. All Jiaomin, the king can't refuse the old woman's request. Make an appointment to meet, then turn around and leave. This young and handsome king, why do you like this old woman in her 70s and 80s? It turned out that when the old woman was drying clothes, the song happened to be heard by the king on the city walls. At that time, because the old woman was facing the city wall, not very close back, the king didn't see the old woman's face clearly. Just by hearing the beautiful singing of the old woman, preconceived that the old woman is a beautiful girl, he expressed his admiration for the old woman and returned to the palace immediately, rummaging through the closet to find the most luxurious necklace. When sending someone to deliver the necklace to the old woman's door, woman did not choose to go out and say things. Instead, let the guards put the gifts in the basket. After seeing the gem necklace the king gave him, old woman's vanity, it was immensely satisfying, but the two sisters thought it was over. When I was about to undress and go to bed that night, the king hurried to the door himself, expressing his love to the old woman through the door panel. When my sister wanted to tell the king about the poetry, the old woman suddenly covered her sister's mouth. Immediately pretend to be a maiden's voice and tell the king, because it's getting late. It's inconvenient to me today, as long as the king comes again in a week. So the old woman chatted the king happily. After finally sending the king of the boog's brain away, the old woman started to rack her brain. Do everything possible. Make your fingers as pink as the top. And after a week, they failed. Fortunately, he accidentally found that his sister's was not a baby index finger. So my sister's index finger is still as pink as a girl. So the old woman was in a hurry, although concentrated was using my sister's fingers. Once again successfully sent away the king with a rippling heart. But what to do next with the king? In the blink of an eye, it was the appointed time. The old woman forced her sister to use glue sticks to its own loose skin. I did a full body facelift in the dumbest way. After, when I put on a black cloak and walked into the palace in the middle of the night, at the king's command, turn off all the lights in the palace. In the dark, don't say the king can't see his face. Even the editor, increase the brightness of the screen by 10 times. That's all. The king finally got the old woman as he wished. After waking up the next day, suddenly I saw the old woman lying on the bed. He was so scared that he screamed on the spot. The mother-in-law wanted to explain something, but the king thought of last night's spring festival. It's already pretty good without sticking out on the spot. I didn't give the old woman any chance to explain. Directly asked the guards to remove it. He threw it out the window in love. But the old woman has a destiny and should not be destroyed. After being thrown from a cliff, hanging on a branch unscathed, he wasn't hurt. It wasn't that long ago. A strange woman suddenly appeared in the forest. After the woman rescued the old woman from the tree, a little for the unconscious old cast a little spell, made the old woman magically younger by dozens of years. In the afternoon, when the king went hunting in the woods, I saw a shocking and beautiful girl appear in front of you. Bring the old woman directly as a treasure. Return to the palace. Immediately decided to canonize the old woman as his woman in order not to reveal her identity. Only a guard can be arranged quietly. Bring his sister the dress for the canonization ceremony. My sister had to wear a dress sent by the guards. After arriving at the palace in confusion, he didn't recognize the queen as his sister, but when he was confused, the queen finally found a chance to sneak over, inexplicably claiming that he is his sister. My sister couldn't believe it at first. The young and beautiful queen in front of him is his sister. But after the queen finally convinced him, My sister wants to know the secret of my sister becoming regardless of the danger that my sister will reveal her identity. Listen to my sister's persuasion to leave. Okay. My sister doesn't know why she's getting younger. In order to get rid of the early and difficult sister, I can only lie and say it's because I peeled off my own skin. Thinking of becoming a young and beautiful sister, he turned around and went down the street looking for people. After hearing such a perverted request, they all thought he was a lunatic and refused. And he gets paid with the jewelry that he's wearing. Find a butcher who wants to get rich. Driving the carriage to the deserted woods. Finally got my wish. Let the butcher skin him all over. But she didn't become young like her sister. Young then ran back to the palace. When I asked my sister for an explanation, I still fell on the road and his sister was also at a banquet. Suddenly, I find myself rapidly aging my skin. He ran out of the palace in a panic.